Kiwanis meeting. I'm sure we may have some more that'll join us here in a little bit, but it's always good to have everybody come on board. Greg Silver is on vacation this week, I guess. It sounds like he's overseas.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and inspire us with the thought for the day, Roger?
Greg Silver's comments, so I'll be glad to read them. May you always have music and laughter, and may a rainbow follow every storm. May gladness wash away every disappointment. May joy dissolve every sorrow, and love ease every pain. May every wound bring wisdom, and every trial bring triumph. And with each passing day, may you live more abundantly than the day before. May you be blessed, and may others be blessed by you. Via Greg Silver.
All right. That
Very nice.
certainly sounds like a Greg Silver.
He does a nice job.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Greg. All right. Let me get started with the club announcements. I want to thank Roger and his wife, Lonnie Cummings, Tom Eubank, Duke Haddad, Laura Holloway, Chuck Cotterman, Mary Marsh, and Kelly Olays for joining me at last week's Go Forth and Serve to prepare 150 blessing bags for the residents of the Harbor Light Center and the Ruth Lilly Women's and Children's Center. Our specific job was to coordinate quilts and pillowcases, which sometimes was challenging because they were kind of funky looking things, tie with a ribbon and add an inspirational message. We also brought some donated toiletries. Last year, the Salvation Army received 1,500 domestic violence related crisis calls, and these blessing bags will serve to provide some much needed comfort to many of those. Stay tuned for more opportunities to give back. These will be regularly scheduled quarterly during the last week of the month at local nonprofits. Next Thursday, May the 8th, we will welcome Brian Koenig with Stubby's Weather Center on Zoom. Stubby has been obsessed with the weather ever since a kid growing up in Lafayette. Today, he's still a weather junkie and enjoys sharing his weather knowledge and its impact on the residents, businesses, and visitors to Indiana, all with a sense of humor and humility. We will also have Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center on the call. The next social supper is on Monday the 5th at 5:30 p.m. at Harry and Izzy's on the north side at 82nd and Dean. Please RSVP to Mary Bulk by Sunday if you'd like to attend. The Iozo's Lunch Bunch will meet on Monday the 19th of May this month. Liz Coit, the president of the Marion County Commission on Youth, joins us at the Columbia Club on Thursday the 15th. Next month, June 12th, we'll learn more on Zoom about July's WNBA All-Star Game. The club board meets Tuesday, May 13th, and the foundation board meets Wednesday, May 21st. Committees, including scholarship and youth recognition, will be preparing for those board meetings. And thanks to Mary Marsh for coordinating a special lunch and tour at Victory Field later this summer. Date forthcoming. All right, is Steve on the call? Okay, I can, I guess, speak for Steve then with the IHSAA Impact Awards. As a sponsor at the IHSAA Foundation Impact Awards, we were thrilled to meet up with 3 Indiana District Key Club students receiving the prestigious Cato Memorial Scholarship, only awarded to 12 seniors statewide. Addison Brubaker, president of the Manchester High School Key Club, Izzy Sellers, treasurer of our sponsored Shortridge High School Key Club, and Lena Jones, secretary of the Plymouth High School Key Club. So congratulations to those students. Trina Raudebush presented our Outstanding Female Athlete Award to a student athlete who displays leadership, discipline, and caring for others in her school, team, and community. Anna Caskey, a softball and basketball athlete from Bishop Chatard, received a $2,500 scholarship. She is a student ambassador, section leader at football and basketball games, part of the Best Buddies program and dance marathon, while maintaining a high GPA and shining in 2 varsity sports. Laura Holloway took the stage to present a Distinguished Hoosier Award to Judy Warren, Indiana's first Miss Basketball, in celebration of this year's 50th Girls Basketball State Finals. Steve Farrow secured this honor from the governor's office. Honorary Kiwanian Greg Rakestraw served as MC. Shout out to Kiwanians Trip Lukemeyer, Chris Kaufman, and Paul Neidig on a great event. We also provided the Colts staff with a Legion of Honor plaque for Mr. Ursay for his 40 years of Kiwanis membership. All right, is Chuck on? I don't see Chuck on here either, so I guess I'm talking a lot. All right, football update. Girls flag football gains momentum and may become a sanctioned IHSAA sport. Girls flag football is now sanctioned in 15 states. Indiana could be joining soon, with nearly 60 schools now participating and with backing from the Colts. We learned about that, I think, at the last football banquet. You might have read Kyle Niedenramp's article in the Indy Star yesterday. Girls flag football is up for a vote on Monday at the IHSAA board of directors meeting to officially become an emerging sport, opening opportunities for more girls. Last year, we did include the girls flag teams at the football awards at the Colts Gridiron Hall. The Colts schedule is released on May 14th, so we'll be able to set a date for that lunch soon. All right. And I guess I will do the Abe committee. Riley Abe update. Abe Lincoln, $20,000 scholar Matthias Pfister was featured in the Riley blog when he visited 5 years after being treated at the hospital. After graduating from Ben Davis, he will attend IU to study neuroscience, with the goal being to become a vascular neurologist focused on strokes and brain injuries like those he suffered in his accident. We are thankful for the caregivers and brilliant doctors at Riley Children's Health, and proud that our Kiwanis Foundation can be a part of Matthias's story. Kiwanis International just shared that on their Facebook page as well, so hundreds can be inspired by his story. $16,000 scholar Safi Akrami plans to attend IU India as well, and we've encouraged him to join CKI. Okay, now I get the good honor of introducing our presenter for today's meeting. And I'm going to go a little bit off script because I've been fortunate to be a member of the 500 Festival Board and now a member of the 500 Festival Foundation Board. And I've had the good fortune of knowing all of the leaders that the 500 Festival has had since it was conceived. So Jo Hauk was a friend of my parents, and she was the first director of the 500 Festival. Liz Kraft was the head when I became a board member, and then I was on the committee that selected Kirk Hendricks, and now Bob Bryant has taken over Kirk's position, and I can say he's doing a terrific job, and really has been a great person to get to know through my time with the festival. So many of you may know the 500 Festival was created in 1957, actually originally founded by the mayor of the city to organize civic events celebrating the greatest race in the world. Over the past 60 plus years, the festival has grown to become one of the largest festivals in the nation. Each year, 500,000 Hoosiers and visitors participated in the festival activities throughout the month of May. Before joining the 500 Festival as its fourth president and CEO in 2013, Bob Bryant's career included roles in both sporting events and broadcast. He was tournament director of the BB&T Atlanta Open, CEO of Teamworks Marketing, and vice president of Turner Broadcasting and the Cartoon Network. He graduated from UNC Chapel Hill, where my daughter is also attending, and earned a master's at West Virginia University. He was awarded the Sagamore of the Wabash in 2016. So with that, Bob, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Eric. Yeah, this is so going on 12 plus years now, leading the 500 Festival, really stewarding the 500 Festival and all that it does in the community. It has been just an amazing experience, really a gift, I think, for me and my family to come here. And we have 4 kids, so raising them as Hoosiers, and Carmel is where we reside, and just to be a part of all the traditions and the history and really the cultural, just a part of the cultural fabric of Indy is the month of May. And it's not just the Indy 500 and what happens at the track, but it's everything that happens in the community. I'm going to attempt to share screen. I have a PowerPoint, and I'll walk through it, but just know that if you've got questions, certainly at the end, but even as we go, if it sparks any particular interest, I'm just going to give an overview of the festival. Not everybody knows all that the 500 Festival does. Eric might have some insights from having served on the board and being on the foundation board. There's a lot that we do behind the scenes that not everybody is fully aware of, and at times don't always know, what is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway doing versus what are we doing, or other organizations doing. And I do think that's a part of the fun and the spirit of this community, is that we don't really always care that much about the ownership in terms of credit, but we all come together to create all these really unique experiences and opportunities. So I will, let's see, do basic. Let's see if I can.
You're sharing.
Just 1 second here. All right, can everybody see that?
Yeah, I think we've got your presenter's screen, but I'm not sure.
So just a little bit about the festival. We have a very broad mission. It's to enrich lives and foster positive community impact and celebrate the Indy 500. In some ways, not just celebrating, but leveraging the value of being the home to the Indy 500 to have that kind of impact on our community. And we do that in a variety of different ways. So I'll kind of get into how we break down some of our events and programs and how we do that. But in terms of scale, over 500,000 Hoosiers and visitors participating in our events and programs every year, over 30 events. Our economic impact is roughly $25 to $30 million annually. And so over the next 10 years, we're forecasted at least a $250 million direct economic impact. Our events, as Eric noted, the AES 500 Festival Parade is the nation's 3rd largest parade. It is, we like to say we don't always go for scale, but we go for trying to be the best we can be. So the mini marathon, as many of you know, it is now the IU Health 500 Festival Mini Marathon, one of the first half marathons in the country. And since the 1970s, one of not just the largest half marathons, but we're now 4 years running, voted in a USA Today Readers Poll as the best half marathon in the nation. 2 years ago, we hosted the USA Track and Field National Half Marathon Championship at our event. And this year and next year, we have a 5K that precedes the marathon. And we're, again, working with Indiana Sports Corp and USA Track and Field as the host of the National 5K Championship. So we have about 64 total male and female elite athletes coming in to run in the National 5K Championship, which will occur as the very first wave and sort of the start to the mini marathon on Saturday. And we do a Kids Day on the Circle, which has become one of the largest free outdoor festivals and events throughout the state. Upwards of 40,000 people gather. The theme that day is health and fitness, as well as multicultural entertainment. And so we're just providing a lot of activities to get kids kickstarted on the idea of being fit. And in that realm, as we realize that we're, stewarding one of the largest half marathons in the country, certainly the largest in Indiana, that gives us an opportunity to not just leverage the 500, but now leverage one of our own events in the mini marathon and be thoughtful about how are we using that as sort of a catalyst for health and fitness around the state. So you see here on this graphic, it says every year more than 80,000 Hoosiers and visitors conquer their health and fitness goals through different 500 festival events and programs geared towards that. The mini marathon this Saturday, we actually just announced the sellout for both the 5K and the mini. And so that number, it says we'll have 20,000 participants. This year we'll have between the 5K and the mini, that number may reach that 27 to 28,000 range. We have an expo that opens today and tomorrow that'll have 30 to 40,000 people. It's at Lucas Oil Stadium this year. And everybody comes in to pick up their bibs and their packet and their shirts. And there's about 50 some vendors set up, all with running and health and fitness related booths and merchandise and activities that they're promoting. Over 1 million Hoosiers have run the mini at least once. So again, quite a significant community achievement. So one of those offshoots in fitness, we have an education program that I'll get into in a minute, but we recognize we have an opportunity to leverage the 500 with youth around the state. We created something called the Kids Fit program. So we'll have over 35,000 people will participate in some of those running events and programs. The Kids Fit participants themselves, over 16,000 and growing every year, where we use a goal of walking or running a mile a week, and in 13 weeks you complete your own mini marathon. We now have over 1,000 of those Kids Fit kids will actually run their final 3.1 miles as a part of the 5K at the mini this weekend. And we are subsidizing that program as an after-school program for IPS public schools right now. So a lot of interesting connection in the education and youth space. Nearly half of the students served by the Kids Fit program are at schools that are 50% or greater in free or reduced lunch programs, which lets us know that we're meeting the needs of some of our underserved community as well with some of our programming. So another category that we kind of call community and celebration. As I mentioned, 500,000 Hoosiers every year coming together for different events and programs. One of the largest, we talked about Kids Day, but obviously one of our largest events is IMPD estimates about 250 to 300,000 people attending the parade every year. Most of that is free. We have seating for roughly 25,000 of those. So it really is an opportunity for everyone to be able to come together and share in the spirit of race weekend in the month of May. We're very thoughtful about what the units of the parade are. We're thoughtful about how we select who the Grand Marshal is, and what story that they might be able to tell that we think deserves a large audience. So we try to be very thoughtful in terms of our mission throughout all the things that we do. The day before that parade on Friday, we have a memorial service that has become really one of the most respected and thoughtful memorial services in the country. We do a private Gold Star family service for people from Indiana who've lost someone in active duty. Those families have come back, some of them 20 plus years, that they come back every year as this being sort of their moment to celebrate the life of their fallen hero. The public ceremony itself has, we work quite a bit with the Indiana National Guard, so it has all of the typical ceremonial pieces to a large-scale memorial service, from from a caisson to the 21 gun salute to the flyover. And then typically we have a ranking 4-star general of one of the armed forces. So that's usually a cabinet position, somebody that's on the president's Department of Defense cabinet currently. And that's been a very meaningful opportunity for the Indiana National Guard as well. They'll typically take that 4-star and have them join a exclusive leadership development program for Guard leaders after the memorial service. And then quite often they're here for the weekend to be a part of race day activities. The other very unique event that you may not know as much about, the 500 Festival Breakfast at the Brickyard presented by Midwestern Engineers. We have about 1,000 people that come into the track that we host, and we put on an event on qualifying day at the track. This year we have 86 mayors. So all the mayors are invited from any size town, municipality throughout the state of Indiana. Obviously, it's being very well attended. We set up the mayor of Indianapolis to be the host that day. And quite often we have, this year we'll have Governor Braun there. In the past, Governor Holcomb has attended. And prior to that, the first governor to start to attend the Breakfast of the Brickyard was actually Governor Pence when I first started. It's unique for them because we don't even have a speaking part for the governor. So it's one of the few things that they're attending that they're not even part of the programming, but they recognize how unique it is that our whole state and the leadership around our state is coming together for that. We'll have some unique programming of usually an IndyCar legend or some thematic of that we get into a nice conversation with. And then we also announce our Queen Scholar of our Princess program, who's getting some additional recognition and also additional scholarship. So it's kind of a Hoosier mashup of stuff going on qualifying morning. I will tell you that day, that same room, we turn over after breakfast and we host about 2,000 volunteers for Volunteer Appreciation Day. So that one photo there, you see the tablecloth. Underneath that tablecloth is a checkered flag tablecloth, and we actually pull all that off. And then Rich Charles pulls off all the linens, and the room is set up to host all those volunteers, to thank them for all that they've done to help us put on all our events. We actually do 2 different sittings for that because of the number of people that turn out, and then they get to go into the garage area, experience qualifying, and they get a good old Indy 500 lunchbox, usually with fried chicken and a sandwich and things that you're used to seeing out there. In education and leadership, we talked about, we reached a goal this year of 500,000 students now have been served with 500 Festival education and fitness programming. The education program itself is now reaching, we're growing on almost 40% of every 4th grade class. Every 4th grader in the whole state of Indiana is using this curriculum that we produce that meets the state curriculum standards. It's updated every year. And it's that 4th grade time is when they usually get their Indiana state education. So it's got math, science, English. It's got a variety of subject matter, but it uses the excitement of both the festival and the Indy 500 as really the backdrop for teaching those things. So it's very locally appropriate. The retention is huge. Teachers love it. We're able to host many of those schools. We pay for the cost of whether it's gas for the buses and lunches and things like that. We reimburse the cost of study trips. We host 12 days at the track. So usually that's somewhere in the neighborhood of sometimes upwards of 15 to 20,000 kids that are doing study trips at the track, that we have volunteers across 10 different stations where that curriculum comes to life at IMS. So there's a number there to date, more than 355,000 future race fans, princesses, runners, volunteers, military and business leaders have actually utilized the 500 Festival curriculum. Princess and Intern program, these have become all about scholarship, civic engagement, leadership development. The Princess program has had over 2,000 women leaders in our state have been 500 Festival princesses. We had the kickoff to May yesterday, and interestingly, Doug Bowles, who runs IMS, his wife Beth was a princess. Governor Braun let me know his wife is a former 500 Festival princess. The Lieutenant Governor, Micah Beckwith, was there. His wife is a former 500 Festival princess. So is Mark Miles. So it's really amazing to see how long that program has been around, but really how it's been a part of leadership and development and community engagement for all of those years. They'll serve over 200 plus hours of community service each year, and they'll do hundreds of outreaches at schools and hospitals and pediatric wards and just a variety of places that they'll go to share sort of the message of the festival as well as the value of the 500 in our community. The intern program, we have 12 full-time paid interns. That's them there that's probably on a Miler Series run where they're going out to help secure some of the route for one of our runs. And then there's a picture of them in the warehouse. So full-time internships, we're competitive really with any intern program in the state. They work here in the office full-time from January through the end of May. And we try to provide them. They have very legitimate roles throughout us planning for the month of May, and we try to provide them with true, leadership development and training and things that will be valuable to them in the future. At some point, almost half of our staff were former interns, so we take very seriously what their roles are and their duties are, but also they really do shape into being event and community leaders throughout the state, including with us. One last piece here I'll end on is the 500 Festival Foundation. We have a separate foundation. That is what Eric joined the board of that fairly recently. The foundation is there to really support what the festival is doing. About 3 years ago, we launched our first true capital campaign or fundraising campaign. The foundation concluded that last year and in essence raised roughly $3 million to help support all of our programming, especially things relative to youth and health and education and things that don't always have revenue attached but have expenses attached that the foundation is there to support. So a little more about the foundation. I kind of just mentioned what areas it supports. They're helping us reach about 100,000 youth and families every year through things that they directly help fund. Talked about the education program, the focus on leadership development, some of our health initiatives, the rookie run that we do at Kids Day, the Kids Fit program that continues to grow. And it really is a need in our state. So we felt that we had an opportunity to very organically and naturally fit into some of the things that we already do to help be a part of working on some of those challenges that we have relative to childhood obesity and things like that. So in a nutshell, there's the impact. There's direct financial impact. Obviously, there's job impact, but I think really there's a social value, a cultural value to what the festival is providing and how we're leveraging the Indy 500 to be able to do those things and having such a good partnership with them that allows us to do that.
Excellent. Thanks, Bob, for doing that. That was a terrific presentation.
Yes.
Has anybody got any questions that they want to ask Bob?
Well, I have a compliment, and I apologize that my camera isn't working right now. I was amazed. I grew up in Indianapolis, and I've lived here for many years. And the breadth and depth of what you're doing, and particularly involving students and building the audience for the future, I think is really smart, but also providing the education that you're providing. I just want to compliment you. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. I think everybody here, the board is thoughtful about that. I think all of the staff, the volunteers, we really have been very mission focused. I think we renewed that in a strategic plan that we did about 11 years ago, just after I came on. And we recognized that we do a lot of great things, but we wanted to also kind of have an eye for both in either by depth or scale, how can we do even more relative to those kinds of impacts. And so it's pretty unique. The only other one in the country really is the Kentucky Derby Festival, which started a year before we did. In fact, those founders of the 500 Festival were actually down at the Kentucky Derby, and competitively, they had been talking about forming a community organization around the 500. And when they saw that Kentucky beat them to the punch, they came back and started it like the very next month. And the first few things were a governor's ball, a parade, and the princess program. I know the leadership of the Kentucky Derby Festival. In fact, we had most of our staff down. There was a running conference in Louisville, and we all spent a day at their facility, and we've hosted them here at ours. So we've become good colleagues and friends over the years, but really the only two in the country. I've been a part of a large festival association on a world board for it's called the IFEA. And so I've gotten a good peer group of leadership from Tournament of Roses and the Rose Bowl, DC Cherry Blossom, Portland Rose Festival, Memphis in May, Chattanooga Riverbend, you name it. And they're all very envious of how our community supports what we do and the depth of what we're able to do. So we even try to share that, with other communities and try to give them thoughts on how to do that. So I appreciate the compliment. No, it really is just a consistent direction to figure out how to be meaningful, and how to leverage that. A lot of events do that now, from NBA All-Star games to Olympics and others, where they come in, but they come in once, right? So, and then the community says, oh, what's the residual benefit of hosting an Olympics? And it might be building infrastructure and new facilities and things like that. But the benefit we've had is that we host the Indy 500 every year, and it's the largest single day sporting event in the world. And every year, we know it's coming, and so we get to leverage that for community benefit. Very, very unique.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody to consider volunteering for the festival. It's something my wife and I have done ever since we moved back to Indianapolis back in the early 90s. And being a part of it, being one of the volunteers, is really exciting. You do definitely feel like you're being appreciated and being cared for, but it's also really a lot of fun to help behind the scenes for a lot of these events. And there's a huge volunteer pool that comes that they have to motivate every year. And that's also pretty impressive to me as to how loyal some of the volunteers have become, and opportunities even for people that have been out of school for a while to learn leadership through participation in a lot of the 500 festival activities.
I've got a question. A lot of stuff you guys do involves a lot of people around the state. What kind of staff versus volunteers to run everything do you use?
Yeah, we call ourselves the small but mighty team. We have about 18 full-time year-round employees, and as I mentioned, 12 interns join us in January. It's about 3,000 volunteers that fill about 6,000 volunteer positions for all the different events and programs, 33 board directors, just under 20 board directors on the foundation side. A lot of support from the Guard, IMPD, IFD, Department of Public Works, even in these days, Homeland Security, Secret Service, State Police, Governor's Office, Mayor's Office. Yeah, lot of large community effort with a lot of players. Yeah,
A lot of coordination, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
beautiful
and there's,
events. I know.
yeah, sometimes it's somewhat.
I enjoy the parade. One of my favorite things, I enjoy the race. Been going to that for years. But probably my favorite part is the flyover. And how is that coordinated? That through National Guard or Navy or Air Force?
Yeah, we work with Indiana National Guard, so we do the flyover for the memorial service, and then we now have a parade flyover, and typically those are going to be Indiana units.
Yeah.
So the A-110s are finally out of service. That was our air base here in Indy. They called them the Warthogs or the tank busters, or that that aircraft was in deployment probably longer than any aircraft in history. I think that finally got rid of those, but now we actually have, I think, I don't know, I want to say it's F-18s, but there's also a helicopter unit that I feel like is, I'm not sure which base, but I feel like it was outside of Fort Wayne, but so it's usually Indiana based. I had a unique opportunity when the large B-2 stealth bomber had a squadron commander who was from Indiana. And his mom reached out about how do we arrange that he gets to be the pilot doing the flyover of the B-2 at IMS. It's the requests we get are pretty unique over the years, but that one, bottom line is we didn't specifically arrange it. I brought it to IMS attention, because I want to say they do their flyover. I want to say Air Force because I know the Thunderbirds have been involved quite a bit, and I'm not sure what the guard's role is in that. But he did. We had a Hoosier, born and bred Hoosier, that got to fly the B-2 over the Indy 500 probably 4 years ago.
Cool.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was really cool. I remember one year when the flyover was a Harrier jump jet and it paused on the main stretch,
Yeah.
did a 360-degree spin, and then took off again. And I remember that the insurance company for the track was not very happy that they didn't know that that was going to happen.
You know, it was 2 or 3 years ago, they had the flyover, and then they flew back by, and one of them came to the center of the track area and went straight up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, that was the Thunderbirds that year. So, and then here's an interesting tidbit. Part of the leadership at Franciscan Hospital, our chairman of our board this year, Dr. Jim Callahan, was actually the medical officer for the Thunderbirds, and his brother is a Thunderbird pilot. So we hosted them for the parade and had a number of their contingency in the parade, which he helped organize.
Cool. I don't have a lot of experience, but I'll sure fly one of those planes if you're ever short of a pilot. If I get my fat ass in the
I think they
plane.
better not take you up on that offer,
Is there cocktails on board?
Roger. Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
So,
Yeah, you bet.
yeah. Any other questions for Bob? I know they started the month of May a day early. Yesterday was kind of the big kickoff. So it was fun to see that. And I'm getting my RV out of storage today so that I can get ready to get it out to the track. So I know lots of others are probably planning the same thing.
I
But,
had one more question. This is Nancy,
yeah.
who doesn't have a picture. One of the things that I know is that this event and all the things leading up to it attracts former Hoosiers back to the state to come
Yes.
visit. And I wondered if anyone is tracking that. I wonder if anybody's thought about it as a recruiting tool. I know my husband's brother is coming from Seattle, and I think that it's happening, in so many families around the state. And what a cool thing to be able to do that. So I just wondered if anybody is tracking that at all. Maybe that's up to the state to do.
Yeah. I think there's certainly some acknowledgement of the recruiting tool that the month of May overall is. And I know that we've worked to get images of, I think you can see in the back of my picture, that's the start line to the rookie run. We've worked to get our images, particularly of the parade and the mini marathon, sort of out there and included with a lot of the images of the track. Because what you're finding is most people outside of Indiana don't really get the month of May. And so they think of the Indy 500 as this one-day race, and they don't know about really just the whole the shift that we all go through and the excitement that we have around the month of May. So as you start sharing more of those images, people who may not be a race fan will start to see themselves in it. They realize they can run in what's been voted the best half marathon in the country that has 20,000 plus runners, or that they can be, they can take their family to a parade or to a rookie run at Kids Day, or they don't know about Carb Day, and they don't know about qualifying and practice and all the other opportunities that there are outside of the 500 itself. So I think there's been a lot of acknowledgement by different leadership that is engaged in promoting the state and growing business, that we do a lot to host. We've worked with everywhere from the International Center to Visit Indy and others, that we quite often are hosting contingencies or maybe even business leaders that they're pitching to move business here. The state, Visit Indy, the chamber, IEDC, a variety of organizations definitely know to leverage not just the race day, but the whole month of May to be able to promote kind of the spirit of what happens here. Yeah, so very good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also got a chance to go to the Miami F1 last year, and I can tell you, we do a much better job of getting people organized, getting people in the right places, celebrating the event than they do down in Miami. So it's definitely a well-honed machine that's there. All right. Any other?
Well, I think I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say thank you guys for hosting and allowing me to talk about the festival. I love sharing our mission and giving people maybe a couple of things that they may not have known that the festival does. And I'm going to run off to the opening of the expo as we welcome at least a more recent record for us in terms of participants. And so we're getting excited for this Saturday. And just the one thing I can say that we could use always is pulling for and praying for weather. We plan for everything, and we are unable to plan for weather. So between us and the track, that's the one part. You do everything you can do, and then it's just completely up to what does that day look like and what are you going to have to deal with. So right now, forecast is pretty good for Saturday, but we need that to consistently be right on a variety of days leading all the way up to race day. So pull for that and really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks, Bob. The Kiwanis Foundation of Indianapolis will be making a donation in your honor to the Riviera Club Foundation for their water safety education and learn to swim programs for low-income youth who are at the highest risk of drowning. So
That's
a little
awesome.
tidbit for that too.
Yeah.
So thanks
Thank you,
again for
guys.
joining us. All
You
right.
bet. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, it's time for the wisdom from the One America signboard. This one seemed appropriate. It's springtime. I got so excited, I wet my plants.
Someone has so much fun writing those.
I know. Great sources of wisdom, right?
Yes.
So, all
Like
right. And I guess we will see everyone next Thursday. Is that right? So we'll have another Zoom meeting next Thursday and look forward to that. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.